Bear on Bears fans, welcome back in for another week of the Windy City Breeze Daily Sports Talk Live. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us as always, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Going to be reacting to the Chicago Bears press conferences that just happened. We've had Luke Getsy and Kyler Gordon speak already. They still have a couple of guys going up, so we'll get those as they come in as well. Also, gonna break down what we saw this Saturday in the Bears versus Browns game, how Justin Fields performed in the preseason, how this offensive line is coming together, and then, of course, the question for our title. We got a report from Ian Rappaport that the Bears could still be trading Teven Jenkins. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go! Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Listen, we got Luke Getsy at the podium already. Might as well go out to him and hear what he's talking about. Again, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the page. Let's go out to the press conferences and hear from offensive coordinator Luke Getsy.
That you need to have knee-jerk reactions, good or bad. I think, like I mentioned before, I thought preseason game one, I was pleased with the process and the play calling into the huddle and the snap to the line of scrimmage and the motions and the lack of penalties, and that carried over to preseason 2, and I thought he got even better in preseason 3. So I think that part of it we were all pleased with. But there's a ton of improvement that we have to get better at if we're going to play better talent, play more looks, all the movement you're going to get. And so, but a step in the right direction.
Cole was saying after the game that his touchdown catch was a play you'd run earlier when you dove to Blasting game. When you see the guy stick with Cole the first time, how does that work for you? Do you make a little note? Do you file it away? And what is your process in terms of, okay, when do we go back to that well?
Yeah, that's probably giving me a little bit too much credit, to be honest with you. I think you're in preseason ball and you have a limited menu that you're going to, and then you like the presentation that was given to you the first time, and you feel like you're going to get something similar too. The difference was, we actually did a better job executing the post on that one. Isaiah did a great job. Mooney didn't on the first one. He ran across the field. You're supposed to run a wide and post and take 2. Isaiah did that time, and so within the progression, the quarterback was able to find his way up to that rail, and so it was honestly just better execution.
And that drew the double from the safety.
Correct. Yeah. So he was able to widen on the post, take the corner, and then that post, the safety felt the post going over top, so he panicked and ran with it as well.
You guys have worked a lot with Justin Fields on the mechanics, the footwork, things of that nature. From the beginning of the summer program to now, how would you evaluate his growth in that department?
Yeah, I mean, from then to now, it's obviously tremendously improved, but nowhere near where it needs to be. He's got a long way to go there, but he's working his tail off.
I ain't seen it yet, my boy. I ain't seen it.
The reward of listening to his feet, and the timing and rhythm was good most of the night. We've talked a lot about pocket presence. That's something that a young quarterback has to grow through. And, I thought that showed up, and he did a nice job with that. And he had the escape on third down that, he knew time was up, and he made the most of that play too.
Luke, as you look at the next couple weeks before it counts for real, what do you want to see from Justin, from this first-team offense to feel like, all right, we're ready to step it up against better talent? And that's
Yeah, I just got done saying this. This is when we got here in April, we had this very well thought out plan of how we wanted to go this process to look. And we're going to stay committed to that process. I don't think this isn't like an elevation to a moment. This is part of the process. This is the stepping stone of, our goal was to get better and to apply pressure to our team on our own, and the way that we installed it, the way that we implemented the offense, the way that we installed it, the way we came to training camp, the way that we performed in preseason. These are all the next steps. These are all steps to where we want to be And so this next game, again, we're still pedal to the metal, and we're still challenging these guys every day, both mentally and physically, to play the play style that we want to play.
But what you've seen so far, you believe the process is working?
I believe we're in the process, and I believe that the process is, we're on track in the sense of, like, I want to keep going. But, in the end, the only way you really say you win is if you win or lose, right? And so we haven't won or lost a game officially yet. But we're going to stick to the process. We believe in the process, and the guys believe in the process.
How encouraging was it to see on that second series where the holding penalty negated Montgomery's run, that they're still able to get chunk plays after that, and that wasn't a drive killer?
Yeah, no blink by those guys. They stick together. They knew it was a great run. The way they finished, I mean, the play was really executed very well by the guys. Unfortunate call. And then to bounce back and like I said, to not blink and have great protection, and then the timing and rhythm again, and both routes were done very well. So that execution was cool. Cool to see them do that.
With regard to the step-by-step process, the next game just being part of the process, what did Fields do in the preseason you think is most likely to translate to success in the regular season?
I think, like, as you're talking about him growing as a young quarterback, his leadership skills and the bringing that unit together has been really fun to see, not just in preseason, but throughout this whole thing. And I think when you're able to go out in 3 preseason games and show these guys you're ready to command the huddle, call the plays cleanly, go out and execute high level, I think all that stuff just gives other people confidence. My favorite part about being a huddle team is that the quarterback gets to look 10 other people in the eyes, and then they get to feel what they feel from him, right? And there's zero hesitation in them, so I think all that's good.
In that regard, obviously, the best quarterbacks make their teammates better, whether one way or another. Just obviously, it's a very early stage, a formative stage, but do you see that in him? Do you see indications that he will be that guy that makes a good receiver out of a mid-round draft pick, or just a better offensive lineman out of somebody who maybe wasn't expected? Do you see the potential for that effect in him?
Yeah, I don't think I'm in any position to make predictions like that, but what I can tell you is that the guy works his tail off. He exudes confidence in himself, which then helps others feel confident. And so I think that part of it is a special quality that he has, and then you match that with the work ethic that he has. He's making sure that he's doing more than anybody else, and then those guys just get attracted to that, and they want to be a part of that.
How would you assess Teven Jenkins' performance?
Yeah, I thought Teven's done a great job of accepting that challenge of right guard, and and it showed. It showed his. We threw him in there, and a few days later, he's playing in a game in Seattle, and I thought that just showed, one, his athleticism, and two, his mental capacity. I think I've told you guys in here before that the guard position has more on his plate than a tackle position. So for him to be able to go in and execute at a high level was really good.
It's shown you this month.
No, he's done a great job. I think opportunity was presented, and he's gone out and taken it by the horns. He's done a great job of being able to have flexibility to play multiple positions. And then, he's been presented one-on-one opportunities, and he's won them, both in practice and in the preseason games. And I think that's in our game. You got to have guys that can be able to win those one-on-one battles, and he's done a nice job of that.
What's that about his route running?
I think it's his patience, honestly. Obviously he has a really cool ability to play on his insteps, and then his patience to be able and be comfortable. Being really close to a defender is something that the great ones they're able to do that. There's no panic, and you're not making a move so far away from the guy. You're able to smell his breath and make a move, and I think that's a really cool quality he has.
I know it's just the preseason, but how much more comfortable are you in a play calling situation after having 3 of these games than you were, 2.5 weeks ago?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be much different or anything like that. I feel good. I feel confident in how we've put it all together. I think that part of it, like I said, everything that we do is pretty process driven. So, I just kind of use my feel or that I in flow of the game, and then on top of the process, I just lean on the process that we put together all week, and so I feel good with all that.
What is the difference between Saturday night in Cleveland in the preseason and September 11th against the 49ers, in terms of how you prepare and how much you prepare and the different things you have in your.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as like the way that I prepare, not really anything different other than you're just, yeah, you simplify the approach for your players. I think that's really the biggest difference, right? I mean, you're still evaluating what front, what coverage, you know, what their tendency was, you know, and then you just play off of those tendencies and stuff like that. But yeah, it gets a little bit deeper now, and then how much you're willing to do against and show now, you know, the gloves are off now, so you're good.
Luke, did the offensive line pass the test, the first teamers, and how confident are you in Braxton Jones, you know, starting week one of his NFL career, you know, as a fifth round draft?
Yeah, no, I thought Braxton's done a nice job. I thought, you know, for a young guy, he came in kind of hot. We were really excited about what he was showing, and then we put pads on, and I thought that, you know, it shocked him a little bit in the sense of, you know, and then obviously having Robert to go against every day doesn't help, but then I thought he really did a great job of kind of digging his feet in the ground and getting right back at it. And I saw, you know, these last 2 or 3 weeks, I thought he's done a nice job of getting better every day. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. And I think he's got a bunch of confidence in himself, too. And I think he's got an opportunity to show what he got.
So you found your five, at least for starters?
I mean, I don't want to go there yet. But I thought all those guys have done a nice job of getting better each day. And I think you guys have naturally seen guys fall into certain positions and stuff where they maybe feel a little bit more comfortable. So, yeah, I think there's been growth. I think I love their play style. I think that's as much as anything they've bought in, and you guys have seen. I mean, when our guys are getting tackled, they're getting picked up by those five guys every single time. They're running the ball, they're finishing, and yeah, we want to play that kind of ball. We want to play nasty. We want to be more physical than everybody else, and those guys have bought into that.
Justin said he felt Saturday was a turning point for the offense. Do you see it the same way?
A turning point? I mean, I don't know about that. Like I said, I think the way that my mind works is like I literally just have a vision of this process, and I know I've used that word 1,000 times already, but I truly believe that. Like we're in this phase of getting better, and we're in this phase of developing who we want to become. And are we on track? I don't know, but I feel good about where we're at. I think the guys believe in what we're doing, what we're communicating, the type of philosophy that we have, and the kind of ball we want to play. So I don't know. Turning point seems like a pretty harsh word or dramatic word, but I feel like we're grinding through this process the right way.
Look, if you had to venture a guess as to how deep into your playbook you are, 20, 50, is it hard to put a number on that yet? How far advanced have you presented things to guys?
No, we've challenged these guys since we got here. I didn't hold back, you know, with a young quarterback or anything. Like, we challenged them, and we've figured out where they can go and where they can't go, and so, you know, we feel good about where we've taken them, and maybe the word's enough, and we still will continue to grow as our team grows and evolves, and the roster the way it sits now, it usually isn't that same way when you get halfway through a season. You got to fight through whatever, and so we'll continue to evolve. But I feel good about all that.
The little sneak that you ran with Justin on 4th and 1, I think when he stopped the ball, the Browns linemen were still standing up.
Yeah.
Is that an option for him to just get it and go? Was that the call from the sideline?
Yeah, no, it was what, 4th and like a couple inches or something. So that was just us jumping the ball and, yeah, going to steal first down.
Thank you.
That was Luke Getsy, OC of the Chicago Bears. Said a lot of good things in there. Very interesting when he talked about, especially, right, of course, the offensive line play of this team. When you're looking at a guy like, of course, the reason that we're talking about Teven Jenkins today, again, Ian Rappaport reporting that the Bears are still entertaining trade talks on Teven Jenkins. So I mean, it's kind of big, right, when you're talking about what a guy is doing out there. And Luke, at a minimum, feels like Teven has done a pretty good job getting a grasp on this right guard position. He said that the right guard position is a tough position to play. He thinks that he's done a pretty good job on that. We'll talk on all of that more. It surprises me when we heard today, right, that there could be a trade for Teven Jenkins still in play. It wasn't like, oh my God, the end of the world is coming. But I think it comes down to this, right? Like, the question is, who are the teams that are calling? Who are the teams that you feel are going to bring you back good value? Who are the teams that you're talking to? And what are they talking about having Teven Jenkins on their team for? I'll say this at a minimum. I think Teven Jenkins has won this right guard job, especially with the job he did in that last game. I don't think that the offensive line showed you that they aren't going to be able to come together throughout this season and play a better style of game. I think there's still some things when you go back and you look at the tape that you look at and you say, okay, these are some things that are a little bit concerning on my part. But at the end of the day, right, you also have to look at the fact that, hey, our starting center isn't out there. One of the guys that we literally are going to need to be the biggest leader of this offensive line is not out there. And the guys that we have are still playing really well. I think you saw Teven kind of put some good footwork on display. Really, like you said, with that right guard position, you got to get the hands up real quick to get into the body. There's not a lot of space. Teven's physicality and his ability to be able to do that has definitely been on display in these first three preseason, in these last two preseason games. And as the game went on, right, as the reps continued to come, I think that's the thing that you have to look at. As the reps are continuing to come, as you see this team continue to be on the field for more time. That first drive was awful with the offensive line. You had two bad runs. The run blocking was atrocious. There was nowhere for him to go, for David Montgomery to go. And then there was a bad pass that the offensive line basically just let the nose tackle through, almost getting, Justin trying to deliver a pass, as Luke Getsy said in the pregame or in the post-practice presser there, with somebody breathing down his neck, right, and unable to complete that. But outside of that, right, like after that first drive, I don't know if it was, hey, let's get over here, let's all talk about this, let's figure out what this is. Right now, you need to figure out how to get this thing together. After that, all of a sudden, that offensive line started to play really well. You started to see them come together. A couple of pancake blocks for Teven Jenkins in that game that you felt really good about. To me, I thought that he did a good job kind of, just winning his position. Now, again, it makes a big difference when there's no Jadeveon Clowney blitzing your gap. It makes a big difference when there's no Myles Garrett on the other side on this offensive line. But I feel like, right, like you're trying to build, at least if you're intelligent on this, right? And this is why I don't think we'll see Ryan Poles trade away Teven Jenkins. Because to me, right, I feel like Ryan has dealt in the intelligent. I feel like Ryan has dealt with, okay, this is how you're going to see this team not only move forward this season and play okay this season, but be strong for the long run. A lot of the moves we've seen Ryan Poles making this to me have been for the long run. When I look at this team, the line that they have built up right now, Teven Jenkins is a piece at right guard that you feel good about for the long run. At right tackle, you hope Larry Borum kind of continues to improve and he gets his game moving in the right direction. On the left side, you hope Braxton Jones continues to improve and be that top piece at that right tackle position. But you want to build, you're talking about three pieces right now that are young pieces in the NFL. You want to build this offensive line for guys that are going to grow. And at a minimum right now, starting this thing off, you feel like Teven Jenkins has done enough to say, okay, I'm the best guy or the best option at right guard for you this season. That doesn't mean he finishes his career Chicago Bear. That doesn't mean he makes it an entire season of playing that right guard position. But at a minimum right now, you don't have it. It would seem like you don't have a better option at that right guard position. And not only that, but they're playing pretty well as a unit together, and it's a young unit. That's what you want to keep putting together. That's what you want to see continue to be on tape. And so I feel like there's no chance that a trade gets done for Teven Jenkins, mostly because, like a lot of you guys have said in the comments as well, there's not a lot of options at that position, right? There's not a lot of options at that right guard position, right tackle position, things like that. Like, guys are winning these jobs because they really are best case scenario, best available. But also, when you go back and you look at the tape, they've put some good things on tape. They've put some good plays on tape. They've put a lot of good blocking on tape. You see Larry Borum and Teven Jenkins starting to do some good things together on tape. Understandably so. It's preseason, right? Again, if you have Jadeveon Clowney and you have Myles Garrett in there, it might look a completely different way. It wouldn't affect Teven as much with Myles. Myles would be more on Braxton's side, but it could affect that offensive game. It could affect how we look at it a completely different way. But here's the thing. What you saw in that game, you cannot say was bad. What you saw in that game, you cannot say at a minimum was average. And at this point, average is all we're hoping for based on where we're coming from. I don't personally see a deal where Teven Jenkins ends up getting moved, because I think right now you're just trying to get your offensive line to average. You've got a rookie on one side, 2 second-year guys on the other. That's not where you want to be going into this thing with a potential franchise quarterback. And at a minimum, right, here's the one thing that you could tell about Justin Fields behind some pretty good protection all night in that Browns game. He's going to be able to deliver the ball if you give him protection, and he's going to be able to deliver the ball as long as you put him in the right scheme. He's making the right decisions. He's taking his time. He's making the right throws, different things like that. Again, it doesn't mean a hill of beans at the end of the day when you get into the regular season and you're trying to actually, and the games actually matter, right? It's preseason, but it's good to see that your offensive line put Justin in a position for him to use his talents to be successful. That's what you got him out there for. And so for me, I don't see Teven Jenkins getting moved. I understand that the Bears are still making calls on it, and I almost am not bothered by not making calls, taking calls on it, and I'm not bothered by the fact. You know what that means? That people around the NFL are interested in Teven Jenkins coming to their team and playing for their team. Those are good things, Bears fans. When you hear Ian Rappaport go on ESPN and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, was that Rappaport? That was Rappaport. When you hear Ian Rappaport go on ESPN and say, hey, listen, the Bears are taking calls and they're engaged in trade talks, that means, okay, I'm listening to your call. What are you talking about? What are you trying to put on the table? That means teams want your player. That means that at a minimum, teams around the NFL look at Teven Jenkins and they might, at a minimum, they're saying he may not be the greatest thing in the world, but right now we have a need for a guy that can play that position. And so for that reason, I'm willing to call you to pick up the phone and see if we can make a trade. I think that that's really what you want to take away from the fact that you're getting these calls on Teven Jenkins. And you also have to look at where this team is and where this team's trying to go. We haven't seen Ryan Poles make a lot of decisions on younger guys that would put the Bears outside of that long-term move. Even the Roquan situation, right? Roquan's still here. Even with the Roquan Smith hold-in and everything that's gone on with that and everything that ended up going down with that, right? Roquan's still a Chicago Bear. Roquan's still going to be on the field more than likely week 1, which is 2 weeks from now, and he's going to be playing for our team. Yes, you didn't get a contract situation done. Yes, he's one of your younger defensive players on the team. Yes, there's a lot of other things to go into it, but at a minimum, he still plays for the Chicago Bears this season. You haven't seen Ryan Poles make a lot of decisions outside of with these younger guys that you feel could be long-term pieces for the Bears and say, okay, yeah, we don't need that guy anymore. We don't want that guy on the team anymore. He's not going to be, we understand he's going to be a talent long-term, but he's not going to be a part of this team long-term. We just haven't seen that. You've seen it more with the older guys, Khalil Mack going up, guys that have dealt with injury, Akeem Hicks, guys like that, right? Those are the guys you've really seen the Bears kind of move on from and say, we don't feel like you're going to be here when this team's finally good. And that makes a big difference. So for me, I think Teven ends up sticking around here. I don't see him getting moved. I think he's going to have an opportunity on this Bears team to be a legit piece on this Bears team. And that's what it comes down to. That's what you want to see. That's where you want to see him you want to see him continue to have an opportunity to win the job and continue to win the job the way he has. He didn't play bad in that game versus the Browns at all. That was a game that you felt like was going to be a legit test game for him. So I felt better after seeing Teven in that Browns game. After coming out of that, right? And I was like, okay, he is your legit right guard. And then, of course, the next day, here comes Ian Rappaport with a, hey, this guy could be traded. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us as always, man. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. We're going to go back out to the podiums. They got Kyler Gordon up at the podium today, so we want to hear what he had to say, what he's feeling about how he played defensively. Let's go back out to Kyler.
Second preseason action compared to your first in Seattle?
Solid. Did some things I like, and also have some things I want to clean up. Just want to keep stacking days and getting better, and just make corrections. And yeah.
How much of a tone setter did that first quarter specifically set for the defense, where you guys forced them? I think it was 3 punts, a missed field goal.
Yeah. It's just what we want to do. You know, we all have this standard of what we want to do and how we want to do it. And, we got to display some of that, so it was nice for us to go out there and do that.
That pass breakup you had on, I think it was 3rd and 4, what'd you see on it to make that play?
You said, what did I see?
Well, yeah, where were your eyes? Like,
Yeah, just on the receiver, just going through my typical, reads and where I put my eyes and my feet, my placement, all like that. Just what I go through on a daily basis.
Hey, yo, if you in here watching right now, let me get them bird dons in the chat. Let me get them bird dons in the chat.
Your defense has been really good this year. You look at some of the preseason numbers, and they look pretty good when they're against second and third stringers. How do you balance kind of, well, we've had success. Does that give you any indication that you'll have it?
Really, I just go off the feel of what we create all together, and talking about what I was saying as far as our standard and stuff like that, and the foundation we all create together, and the chemistry that we have, and what we build, and just the trust and accountability that we all hold for each other. So really, just getting a feel of how we all hold each other to the certain standard. I just feel like everyone wants to be disciplined and reach all the goals that we have for each other. So I feel good about what we want to go and accomplish it together. Yeah.
What's the biggest difference playing your position at the college level versus, I know you've only played a couple preseason games, but in the NFL?
I'd probably say coming from college and the system I learned over there, a lot really transferred over, so nothing was really new to me as far as what I saw and how I had to transition. But if I were to give you something, I'd probably say just quicker eyes on my read and just getting my eyes to the right spot just to be able to see things faster. But other than that, yeah.
Start your homework on the 49ers.
You said when will I start my homework? It's already been started. It's in the process, yeah.
Early process? I mean, do you have impressions of the receiving core that you're going to be facing in 2 weeks?
Not complete yet, but I was just getting there, yeah.
What other things do you do to work on to get ready?
Yeah, just the calls and what they're doing, what I see, and just the best ways I can position myself to make plays, coming off of what they do and stuff like that. So, yeah, just that so far.
There could be undrafted rookies, and maybe drafted rookie or two cut here in the next day or two, or in the next day. What's that like for you to know that some of your friends might be?
Yeah. It's sad to obviously create those friendships and see them go. But I tell anyone that has been cut that I've been close with or got to talk to, I just tell them, the mission's the same. There's still spots to be taken. Don't, just because something happens doesn't mean you take the foot off the gas. You keep going. And, I'm obviously there to support them and still talk to them and text them, whatnot. But, I just want to be someone that's encouraging and stuff like that. Yeah.
Lasting impression on you about Alan Williams, just the guy who's going to be.
Can you say that again?
What's that?
Can you say that again?
I said, what's not the lasting impression on you about Alan Williams? Obviously, the guy
It's
who's.
the lasting impression?
Yeah, just what strikes you about him as a coach and what stands out?
Yeah, no, I know he's definitely a guy that's very fanatical about the way we create this standard and just being very consistent on what it is and, the repetition of doing it, not just once or twice, but consistently and daily and just being like the word he uses, fanatical about it, and just really that he's just very persistent on that and keeps ingraining that into the whole culture and the whole system. And so like that's good for us to always have that constant chipping at that work and getting 1% better every day.
Example of something that he, in a fanatical sense of the word, that he.
Yeah. We always talk about punching the ball, and there'd be times where sometimes you don't necessarily get that punch on the ball, and you just tag off on a guy. But he talks about being fanatical and consistently always having that opportunity to punch at the ball, because you never know, that could be a turnover, a change in the game, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you don't take that one time, you could really get it. So just being able to do that consistently, yeah.
With regard to the defense, to what extent do you feel you're at the right place at the right time? I mean, I know you're a confident guy. I imagine you feel no matter where you would have got drafted or where you would have gone, you'd have been successful. But is there an element that you're in the right defense with the right coaches and getting the right opportunity at the right time?
Yeah, no, honestly, like the coaching staff, like I've really enjoyed like the way that they go about things, and the constant like coaching that they have, and the type of coaching that they do give, and they are really like players coaches, and they really are there for you to go and talk to them, and they're really big on this standard and holding everyone to just that high standard and the type of defense that we want to create. And so, I just appreciate the way they go and they coach the whole entire team, and just what they bring to the table. So, they're working hard 100% of the time. So you want to go and give them that same 100% back all the time. So I enjoy it, really.
You don't seem like you're going to be overwhelmed by the moment of starting your first NFL game or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Has anything about this process, thrown you or surprised you? It just seems like you came in as if you had been starting last year or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I just really just expecting the certain situations and stuff, and like just preparing myself for where I want to be and how I want to do it. But yeah, just really ready just to take it on and just feel confident about it. Yeah.
You're not worried about game speed and the competition of regular season being any different than it's been. None of that phases you at all, right?
Honestly, no. Thank you guys.
Kyler Gordon, DB for the Chicago Bears, going to be really interesting to see what he's able to do this season. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure nobody's been up. And see, that's why I do the show like this, because 40 minutes have gone by since Kyler Gordon spoke, and nobody's been up in between Kyler Gordon. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit that like button if you're in here. DG Daniels said the Bears are one of the only teams that I've seen that doesn't have a mic for the media. You can't hear what the players are responding to in 90% of these press. You know what? This is the thing I'll say about that. I think there's just one guy with a roving mic that's just moving it around. You know what I'm saying? So I think like people are asking questions. He's just like trying to run to them, and then by the time he gets over there, they're done with it. But here's something interesting, right? He was talking about his poise. He was talking about kind of Alan Williams' philosophy. The one thing that we've heard about this Bears defense consistently is that the Chicago Bears are going to be a team that tries to punch at the ball. Their philosophy on the defensive side of the ball is we want to punch at the ball on every single play. We want a peanut punch on every single play, because that could be something that goes into a turnover. And it's the little things like that, bro, that get me excited about this coaching staff. Now, of course, right, it has to translate onto the field. You still got to call plays. You still got to put your team in the right position. But when I look at what these Bears coaches are instilling in this team, again, this is the first year. We're 3 games into preseason. It's 0-0. It all could mean nothing when you get into the regular season, right? But I feel good about this coaching staff coming in, because even with the number ones out there, right, you felt good on the play calling on defense. Again, you got 3 and outs in that first drive. Didn't allow a first down, I don't believe, until the second quarter of that game, and they were struggling to get first downs as a whole. Seemed like Alan Williams has a real handle on calling this defense for the Bears. You've got guys that are running in there high speed, looking to punch the ball out, looking to force turnovers, trying to be in the right position, always trying to get their hands on the ball. You saw in that game Kyler making a gamble on a ball out there where he tried to jump out and just grab that mug. I think that jump out in front of the receiver and get the pick on that. I think those are the things, right, that you key in on and you're like, oh, they're doing a lot of the little things. Again, this is the beginning of a new coaching staff, right? Guys were doing the little things when Nagy was here year one, but this is the beginning of a new coaching staff. But when you see them kind of just, okay, we're buying into this. We're looking at this. We like what we're seeing here. We like how this is moving. We like how this is changing and different exchanges like that, right? And just how they're going into this, how they're prepared for it. You heard him there, right? Like he was talking about, they asked him, have you started preparing for the 49ers yet? What are you seeing? He was like, we've been started that. So they're getting them prepared for the moment. And I think that was the biggest difference from last season to this season, right? Like we talked about how often did we talk about the Chicago Bears weren't prepared coming out of the bye week? The Chicago Bears weren't prepared for this game. The Chicago Bears looked like they hadn't prepared for the defense they were going up against. The Chicago Bears didn't look like they had prepared for the kind of offense they needed to run. Like we've said that so much. When you look at this Chicago Bears team in previous years, and at a minimum through the first 3 preseason games, take it for what you will, take it for what it is. I get it. It's preseason. It doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean much at the end of the day, but it feels like the Chicago Bears are prepared for every game that they've gone into. And I think that's something where you look at this coaching staff, you look at this defense, and you feel a lot better about what you're coming into the season with, because preparedness can get you to a certain point. Your talent's going to be what wins you Super Bowls. That's going to be the end of the day, right? Your talent at the end of the day is going to be what wins you Super Bowls. If you have an Aaron Rodgers, if you have a Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Khalil Mack, guys like that, right? Those are the guys that get you the wins in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Aaron Donald, right? But being prepared for the moment can do so much for you. Being prepared for the team that you're going to go up against, being prepared for the team that and letting your guys know, right, like this is the position you need to be in if this play comes in. Those are the moments where your coaching staff means the most. And I think that's the thing that you really want to see from this Bears coaching staff coming into this. When you look at Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick is the master of going out and doing what? Just finding guys that do something really well and preparing them the most that he can for them to do that thing really well. That seems to be, at least to me, when you look at the Bears' offseason acquisitions on the defensive end, some of the pieces on the offensive end, when you look at bringing in fullbacks, when you look at bringing in, we're not going out and we're getting superstars at every position, but what are we doing? We got 2 guys and now down to 1 with Byron Pringle. Well, actually down to 0 with N'Keal Harry and Byron Pringle both being out. But we got 2 guys that went out there and they're going to be able to block really well at wide receiver. Also, we've got a really good blocking tight end who's also got okay hands. We've also got a fullback. Guess what we're preparing to do? We're preparing to run the ball. We're prepared for what's coming. What else did we go get on the defensive end? We're going out to get Cruikshank. What's he do? Oh, he's a dominant player in stopping tight ends. Well, why does that matter? Well, you know, we kind of got a lot of really, really good tight ends in the NFC North. Preparing your team for what's to come. That's what gets me the most excited about this coaching staff. And they're not blowing smoke up our skirts. They're not hyping up anything one way or the other. They're just saying, listen, this is what it is. This is what we have right now. And it's going to be this or it's not. I feel like we saw that in the Browns game continuously. And it really, really excites me. Not just about the talent that's on the field, because here's the thing, right? Talent comes and talent goes. We've seen a lot of talent go through New England. We've seen a lot of talent be under wow, I almost said Andy Dalton. Relax there, Pat. Why can't I? Andy Reid. We've seen a lot of talent be under these top coach, Pete Carroll, guys like that, right, in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan. We've seen a lot of talent come in, and we've seen a lot of talent leave out. So how do you maintain the talent part that's going to come and go with keeping your football team going in the same direction? Andy Reid's had 3 different quarterbacks under him since he's been in Kansas City. running that same system. They're prepared, though. They know what they're expecting going into the next week. A multitude of different wide receivers, a multitude of different running backs. But they're prepared. That's what gets me excited about this coaching staff over all else. And so now it's the real world. Now you got to get it going versus these better teams. Now, guess what? And I think the best time for the Bears to steal a win, if they're going to steal one, is going to be early on in this season, because there's still stuff that's not on tape. There's still stuff the offense hasn't done that's not on tape. There's still stuff the defense hasn't done that's not on tape, right? So I think week 1, right, you're going into this hoping you can sneak one out versus San Francisco and feel good going into week 2 versus the Packers, hopefully going into that 1-0. Here's the thing at the end of the day. They're already preparing. They were already preparing before this last preseason game. They've already started to look at tapes. They've already started to look at what San Francisco does. So that's the part that, again, the preparedness of this coaching staff gets me excited, because that's your key to long-term success. Guess what? If Luke Getsy calls a really good offense for the Bears this season, guess what? He's probably going to be up for a head coaching position, if not next year, in 2 years. If Luke Getsy fixes Justin Fields, he's probably going to be up for a head coaching position. I shouldn't say fixes, but puts him in a position where he's successful, he's probably going to be up for a head coaching position. If Allen Williams gets this Bears defense to be a great Bears defense years to come, he's probably going to be up for a head coaching position. That's how this works. And so you hope that the guy that you have that's leading all of this, that's prepared, that's preparing the players, preparing the coaches, preparing the team, is good at picking those guys. That's why you go out and you try to find the right head coach like that, because all the coaches around him also are so important to him. And I saw somebody in the comments mention Mike Martz. The one flaw that Lovie Smith had was he couldn't go out and find you an offensive coordinator. That's the biggest thing for me. The one flaw that Lovey had, to me, couldn't go out and find an offensive coordinator that was worth keeping around for more than a year. That's tough. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. We got 122 in the building, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. We also post this up in podcast format. So if you can't stick around for the full video, or you're just not a video person, you want more of the audio side of it, make sure that you guys get in tune with the podcast as well. The Windy City Breeze on all platforms, so make sure that you check that out. Appreciate you guys for showing us love on that. And just, I mean, if you're here, you might as well, right? If you're here, you might as well. Oh, I thought, did they just end the whatchamacallit? So the Bears literally just ended the live. So I guess no one else is talking. Oh man, I love that, dog. That mess cracks me up. It's just like, hey, so we know you've been sitting here for 40 minutes. We're going to get up out of here. See you later. Like, what? Are you serious right there? So that is pretty much it for the Bears press conferences there. The one thing that I did want to do before we get out of here, okay, my computer's screaming at me apparently. The one thing I did want to do before I get up out of here, is I want to hear from Justin Fields, because we heard from Justin Fields after the game, and we heard kind of what he felt about how he played in that game. And when I looked at Justin Fields' game, I've gone back, and I know most of you Bears fans have as well. Listen, I'm not the only one in here that's probably a little bit sick in the head. I'm not the only one here with a problem. I've watched that first half a few times. But when I've gone back and I watched what Justin Fields was doing, two things stuck out to me. And it really gets me excited about his play. And to me, right, you got to have the conversation about how he looks versus his contemporaries. When I watch Justin's play, Justin not only looked like he was making more times than not the right reads. There was a couple of times where I felt like Justin was getting to his check down a little bit quick. There was a couple of times when I felt like Justin was getting to his he was going through the progression a little bit quick, and I've said that throughout all of preseason, and I think that only speeds up during the season, but you would rather have him getting through it too quick than too slow, I guess, in that sense, because at a minimum, he gets to his check down. But the one thing that you see now, and I implore y'all to go back and look at the tape. Justin's footwork now is almost perfect. When you saw him get the opportunity to play more than a drive, you really see his footwork on display. The first touchdown where he throws it out to Ryan Griffin, right? He drops back. He's setting up on the left side of that, on that left hash. He's got the legs pointed, instantly looks at Ryan Griffin, body turn, feet are pointing left, exactly where you want to see it go, delivers a dot. I think the arm talent's always been there. I think that the understanding of how to read a route tree and stuff like that to me has always been there, right? He's been doing this his whole life. He's been a quarterback his whole life. I feel like that's something that you knew was going to happen. But then when you see now the feet working with the rest of the talents that already were there, how the footwork's improved, and again, right, a clean pocket makes the biggest difference with that. If you're not having to run for your life for the rest of your life, right, like that makes the biggest difference. The fact that the offensive line set up so well, you felt good about that. But to me, right, when you start to see the footwork, every time he's looking to deliver a throw, even that little, I think it was right side, right, when he's throwing it to, I want to say it was Dante Pettis. Boom, sees Pettis. I think Pettis was second. I think he was the second option on that one. Turns, delivers a dime right on the money. I mean, legitimately right on the money, right over the hands of the Browns defender, and dropping it in not only just where his receivers are, but it's a good delivered ball to where, okay, this guy, if he needs to make a move, he's still in a position where he can turn this thing and cut up field. He's still in a position where he can continue to make a play, get some yak on this if the defense ends up slipping up. Those are the things, the improvements that you're seeing. And again, I understand it's versus they didn't play most of their starting DBs, no Garrett, no Jadeveon Clowney, but you can only make these moves against who you can make these moves against. Whoever's on the field, that's who you're going to be playing against. But I'll say, again, the technical side of Justin's game, the mechanical side of Justin's game, watch yesterday's game, and I'm not saying go back to the Browns game, go back to one of his better games, go back to the Pittsburgh game. The technical, mechanical side of Justin's game has increased tenfold in one offseason. And you can tell he went into this offseason really understanding, okay, for me to be able to play quarterback at this level, not only do I need to be able to understand these reads a little bit quicker, but my footwork needs to be better. I need to be delivering this football better. Because there were a lot of passes last season where he wasn't delivering the ball he was delivering the ball kind of like, okay, the pass is here. It's going to get to the guy, but the guy has no option but to catch it and fall down. He can't keep going. Even on the touchdown pass to Griffin, the touchdown pass to Komet, those are all leading passes. Well, Komet's a little different. He dropped that one in. But the two touchdown, who am I missing? Pettis got the other one, right? Those are leading passes. Those are passes that could lead your guy to move forward. If those aren't just in the end zone, if that's just him running an out route, breaking off, you drop that mug in, boom. That's still an opportunity for a play there. And that's the thing that you want to see most. You've got players on this team that are going to be able to make plays by just putting the ball in their hands. Or at least you hope you do. Guys like Bayless Jones. Darnell Mooney, you know he's that. That's what you want to see continuously from this Bears team. Put the ball in your playmakers' hands and let your playmakers make plays. That's why they're called playmakers. You know what Darnell Mooney is. You know, you hope that Bayless Jones is that level of player, right? but you've also got to put them in a position where they're still able to move the ball upfield. And so for me, I think that's one thing that is really, really good to see in Justin's game. And it's a part of his game that I really enjoyed watching in that Browns game. Again, preseason, understand what it is. Don Burr, I see you in the chat. What's going on, Don? I think I'm the only channel that still allows Don Burr to use his main account. Everybody else got Don blocked, man. But he know we here for the Detroit smoke. Let's go, my boy. He said, Don saying, I put him on the screen too. Don saying coaching staff's been great and it's preseason. Okay. Don's downplaying preseason because Mitch Trubisky lit his team up again yesterday. Don's downplaying preseason because Mitch Trubisky lit his team up yesterday. Byrne in the chat, Byrne said this coaching staff has been great for Justin up until this point. Absolutely. Windy City dropping a hit that like button. Don, appreciate that one from Windy City. Clifford Jowers dropping a Don in the chat. Shout out to Clifford, man. Hey, let's listen in to Justin Fields from yesterday or from Saturday. He was talking about kind of what he was seeing in the game, how he felt the game was going for him, and where he felt this team really excelled in that game. Hold on, let me make sure. I think I muted the site on this one, man. You got to be careful with some of these muds because you'll just go to the website and they'll just start talking on you.
Yeah, I just think we're, continually getting better, each and every day. I'm just kind of building off the previous day. So, yeah, we're just going to get back to work next week and, keep building.
The first touchdown drive, you guys were able to overcome a holding penalty pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What's the value of that, of being able to dig out of a hole and have that experience go down and turn it into six?
Yeah, I think, before the game, we know that we're going to run into adversity. So it was really good by the guys, the O-line, the receivers, the running backs, just to show that, we can get past that penalty and, keep the drive going.
Always good to build momentum, especially now that the regular season is 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
You feel like you gained some confidence tonight?
Yeah, for sure. This week was kind of like a mock game week, like a mock game in the regular season week. So, just coming into the regular season, building off a good game. So.
Shout out to Tanner with the super chat, man. Appreciate you for showing love. What's going on with you?
Facebook is taking action to keep its platform safe.
Luke does a great job, of course. So, just giving everyone confidence and, trusting the offense and trusting, just the process of things.
Having David back and having the physicality that he runs with, what does that do for the offense?
Yeah, it opens up, the play action game, the naked game, like all of that stuff. So I'm glad he's back, and he's a baller. So yeah.
The identity that you guys want to have from the toughness.
Yeah, he's the definition of it. So when you have a guy like that, run the ball with, the amount of effort he runs it with, and the amount of, just force and power, I guess he runs with, it kind of shows what we want to show, I guess, for our football team as an identity standpoint. So yeah.
Through the touchdown pass to commit, you were rolling right, and it looked like you motioned somebody when you hit. What were you signaling?
After the touchdown, I just told Cole, like, that route, I just wanted him to be a little bit wider. Yeah, but the post did a great job taking the corner and the safety. So both of that, and but I was just telling him to get a little bit wider because I didn't want that corner to fall off. And take away his route. So.
Bruh, that's what I love. He's coaching. He's talking to his teammates about where he want them to be.
Yeah, we have so many different, I guess, route combinations with the nakeds, like stuff like that. So, you can manipulate them pretty good. And then, the biggest thing is it with those plays is just you don't want to take a sack, and you want to just make sure you try to get a completion. So, or just get a positive play out of it, whether it's a short completion, whether I run for a few yards, whatever. So, yeah.
Justin, your trip here last year didn't go so great. Did you reflect
Yeah.
on that at all?
Nah, for sure. I was of course thinking about that, and glad 95 wasn't playing today, but I'm glad we came out with the dub today, for sure.
On that note, like you compare how it felt playing in that offense almost a year ago to how you felt it. I forget the results, like that play where you're rolling out and you're seeing your speed draw defenders in toward you and open things up.
I mean, it just feels normal at this point. I think we practice it so much, whereas, we just rep it, where, you just get used to the different outcomes that may happen on that certain play. So, I mean, the amount of times we, run those plays, run those kind of plays, I mean, I think we're really good at them. So, yeah.
Justin, you thought it would take years to get the roughing calls, and now it's
I know.
you're already getting them. How
Yeah.
do you feel about it?
I mean, I feel good. I'm glad I got the call, so I'm definitely happy about that one. Sure.
It took a pretty egregious.
I know. Hopefully it doesn't have to be that egregious next time for them to call it. So, yeah.
Do some games just feel different? Like every one of your throws just seemed like it was on the money. Do you get that feeling right out of the gate, like this is going to be a good night?
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling like beforehand, but sometimes you're just feeling good, going into the game and stuff like that, feeling confident. So just hopefully we can go into every game feeling like that. So. Yeah.
When you got hit, did you see your linemen start shoving guys? Did you see people on the sideline start?
Well, I heard it. I got up and then I kind of walked up a little bit dizzy, trying to catch my feet or whatever. But yeah, but I heard it and then I was just trying to make sure they didn't get a flag for us, so they wouldn't offset. So yeah, I don't know if Sam's gonna get fined or what. So we'll see.
But that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Just standing up for your teammates, stuff like that. So that's definitely a good thing.
The touchdown to Pettis was fairly simple. What did you see on that, and how did you come so wide open?
Yeah, just one high zone. Kind of a one-on-one matchup. The only other defender was the underneath flat defender under him. So it was pretty much one-on-one. I think the corner had a little bit inside leverage, so he stayed patient on his route, and of course ran a good route. He's a great route runner. Probably one of the best ones we have on the team. So he executed the route perfectly and threw a good ball to the end zone.
When you guys find a groove where you did 3 touchdowns there in 4 possessions, how do you put that in the proper sort of frame as you leave here, to give it significance but not over signify it, I guess?
I think it's just, execution on all parts. I think the O-line did a great job protecting today. I told them that multiple times. The receivers did a great job with scramble drill, just running the right routes at the right depth and stuff like that. So, again, just, protection-wise, running the football, and just that'll open everything up with play action and, our boot plays.
So, Justin, do you see this as a turning point or just a preseason game as far as the offensive performance?
Definitely a turning point. I think, we can just build on this and we're going to go into next week, get better and prepare for San Fran in 2 weeks.
Matt seems very comfortable in this new scheme. You guys seem like you're establishing even better chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel that way? Does it feel like he could have a big breakout year for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all know Cole's a great player. He works hard. He's a leader on this football team, so I'm excited to see what he does this year for sure.
Justin, Matt was talking about you saying what a good job you did taking the completions that were there.
Mm-hmm.
You fought back from first and 20 at one point. Has your mentality on that changed from your rookie year to second year?
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of knowing the situations, knowing the percentages of, when to take a chance and when to just taking completion and stuff like that. So you kind of just have to think about that before the play based on the down and distance. So definitely.
Do you have a level of interest in seeing how this roster gets cut down in the next 2 days?
We're about to see in a couple of days. So, yeah, we're about to see.
Is it tough to see guys go?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like all the guys we've had up to this point, I feel like they've been on the team for, longer than they have been here. So I feel like I've, built great relationships with all of them. And it's going to be tough to see some of them go for sure. But I have no doubt in my mind that, they'll find another team to go to or, they'll get brought back at some point. But they're all great football players and they all work hard. So I'm excited for them.
Justin, what are your thoughts about local product here, Dominic Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
You get a best way you can determine as a teammate going against him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's really mature for a rookie for sure. I mean, he's married, right? He's married, so family man for sure. I mean, and he's a freak athlete. So, I mean, he's fast. He has like 5-6% body fat or something like that. So he's just a freak, on the field. He's a smart guy, and he works hard. So,
Were you aware that
yeah.
he was a quarterback in high school?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Had no idea. So, yeah.
How do you feel about your connection with passing targets? You got the receivers plus the tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
A year ago where you've been working with just the second stringers and then you kind of moved up. How do you feel as far as guys you can trust?
Yeah, I feel like, I definitely feel like I have a better connection with, more guys on the team compared to last year. Just, kind of them rotating. I think that's one positive thing you can, bring out to, at first not knowing, who was going to be the, starting three out there where, in practice you're throwing in different guys and stuff like that. So I feel like I've, built chemistry with a lot of the guys, receivers, tight ends, and running backs. So, yeah.
We see it clearly with you and Komet and you and Mooney. Who else do you feel like I love throwing to this guy? I can always count on this.
Yeah, I mean, EQ, Dante for sure. Byron when he was, healthy. I mean, really all of them. I mean, I feel like, we've had a lot of reps up to this point where it's like, we always get extra work in, after practice. If we miss a route in practice, we'll stay after practice and, get it in. So it's just, constantly building.
Is the game slowing down for you? You hear about veterans say it's a big difference between their rookie year when it's crazy and then it slows down a little bit. You can make better decisions in your second year.
Yeah, for sure. I think every time I just get asked this question, it's a flashback from last year. But yeah, for sure. I didn't, but I'm gonna try to go to the Ohio State Notre Dame game next weekend. So I'm excited for that, and excited to see those guys play. Ohio State at least by 14. That's my prediction. So yeah. I don't know if Cole's gonna go. We'll see. But y'all have a good one.
All right. Hey, I got YouTube Premium. I'm just on the wrong account. Yeah, I mean, I got that YouTube Premium, but I'm just on the wrong account. No, that was Justin really breaking down what he was seeing after that first game and kind of, just how he felt and how he's getting more comfortable in there. And I thought that was something to really bring out, about his game. We've seen Justin Fields sit back there and just not be comfortable behind that line, not feel like he's in a good system, not feel like he's in a position where he's going to be successful. And it doesn't seem like that is the case here moving forward. In fact, it feels like Justin feels more comfortable than ever with the coaching staff that he has in place and with the line that he's standing behind. I think that those are things that you really look at and you say, okay, now how do we build on this going into the season? Again, they've already started their preparations. You feel good about it. And here's something that I thought was interesting, right? You have to, of course, we're always going to do this just like we did with Trubisky, right? How does he match up with the other guys that he's going up against? How does he match up with the other players? And you can't really do, I guess Zach Wilson, you can't really do because he instantly went out basically. But I mean, if you're looking at how he's matched up, just looking at kind of the PFF numbers on a guy like on your second year starters, he has performed the best out of anybody. Justin Fields, out of the second year starter PFF grades, just in preseason, was a 90.4. Trevor Lawrence was a 60.2. Trey Lance was 59.4. Mac Jones was 57.4 with one of the worst interceptions that I've ever seen in my life. Did y'all see that Mac Jones pass where he throws it literally into like 5 Raiders? Davis Mills at 54.5. And then, of course, Zach Wilson. Like I said, you really can't do Zach Wilson. He's a 48.4. Zach Wilson only played that first preseason game and then had surgery. But here's the thing that I'm looking at with Justin Fields, just in that. Justin Fields is the guy that everybody has said has the least. Justin Fields is the guy who everybody has said has the least amount of weapons, has the worst offensive line, has the worst running game, has the worst, has the most liability coming in with new coaches, even though multiple guys on here have new coaches, has the worst, is starting from the worst situation as far as last season coming into this season on how much he had to learn this season. Remember, that's what the national nerds were saying. And yet, with all of the worst, Justin Fields has performed the best. With all of the worst, and yes, it is preseason, but guess what? It's preseason for all of these guys too. It's preseason for Trevor Lawrence, preseason for Trey Lance, preseason for Mac Jones, Davis Mills, all of them. Because remember, we were in the worst situation. We were the team that was putting a guy who could be a potential star player in a situation to get killed. We were the guy, and yet Justin Fields has been the guy who's been sacked the least. Justin Fields is the guy who's got one of the best completion percentages. Justin has no weapons. Justin Fields is the guy who has wide receivers who are catching the football. Again, I'm not hyping this up. I'm not hyping up the preseason, none of that. But the thing that I've said all along is that the teams that we play on the schedule this season are a lot closer to preseason teams than to the best teams in the NFL. Have you seen the Giants lately? The Giants look horrible. The Jets have no chance. That's what it comes down to. Are you going to be able to play well versus the competition that's standing across from you? Now, here's the thing that I would love. I would love for us to go out and get a number one receiver next season. I would love for us to go out and maybe find some better pieces on the offensive line next season. I would love for us to go out and fix this defense 110% next season. But we can only start with what we're doing this season right now. And you can't tell me that based on the guys that are all around him, Justin Fields does not look better than every other second-year quarterback that's going through it. And that's with every detriment that every national outlet has said the Chicago Bears have put in front of him. So the option's now one of two things. Either Justin Fields is one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen just because he can overcome all of this, or this Bears team won't be as bad as everyone thinks. Take your pick. Because running an offense, running these plays, getting things done, it's not just on the quarterback position. It's on, is your offensive line being disciplined? Is your offensive line keeping your guy upright? Is your offensive line doing enough in the run blocking game, which could be a little bit up and down this season? Hopefully Lucas Patrick coming back will help that. But is your offensive line doing enough in the run blocking game that it makes it an interesting enough thing to focus on for play action to work? Are your coaches putting your quarterback in a good scheme? Are your coaches putting your quarterback in a position to win? Are your coaches putting your quarterback in a position where the plays that are being called on the field have enough time to develop based on the personnel that's also on the field? Right? Because I think that was one of the biggest things you had to look at last season. Actually, multiple seasons. Nick Foles told you the plays that are being called don't have the time to develop because we don't have the offensive line personnel for that play to develop. And at a minimum, I'll say this, whether it's preseason or not, the coaches have called the right play for the situation. Could this all look completely different versus San Francisco? Absolutely. Much better defensive line. I don't know if Teven Jenkins is going to look like a starting right guard versus that defensive line. I don't know if Braxton Jones is going to look like a rookie versus that defensive line. I don't know how guys are going to look when it matters. You're coming into a situation right now where it matters. But at a minimum, just comparing him among the other second-year players that every one of these national nerds has said is going to be head and shoulders better than Justin Fields this season because the Bears put him in such a poor position for him to succeed, he is head and shoulders better than every one of them, at least to this point. So I want y'all to ask, I ask y'all, what does that mean? What does that mean for the Bears? What does that mean moving forward? What does that mean this team is? Is this team better than the national nerds think? Or is this just it's preseason, it don't matter. But everything that you can say still applies for them, especially Trevor Lawrence. Remember, Trevor was supposed to take a huge step because they threw all this money at him and they've dominated it, and they're going to put him on He's in a better offensive system. He's got better coaches. He's got all of this. He's got weapons. He's got weapons. They went out and they got Trevor Lawrence weapons. He's looked okay. He looks like he'll be able to play the game of football. That's the question that it comes down to, man. But when I compare Justin Fields to the other guys that are supposed to be in his class, like we always do, you can't tell me that Justin is miles behind these guys. You can't tell me that Justin is miles behind Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance. You can't. I'll give you one better. Trey Lance, to me, is the only one that even has anything comparable to talk about. And Trey Lance was also supposed to be trash based on a lot of the metrics. That's what I'll leave it on, man. Just kind of breaking down what we saw from Justin in this preseason. I'm excited for week 1. We'll talk about kind of what are our expectations heading into week 1. We'll talk about what are our expectations tomorrow. I believe tomorrow's presser, they might either do it before practice or after, but tomorrow's presser might be, I know, because practice is at 4:30 tomorrow, I think, so that might be late. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But before we do get up out of here, man, give me a bird down in the chat. Make sure everybody drops a bird down in the chat. Appreciate y'all for showing love to the channel, man. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the pages. We'll be up on all podcast platforms. And we'll be back on this mug tomorrow for another episode of The Daily Show. As always, man, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. We got Rob Westfall with a bird don in the chat. Shout out to Rob in the chat, man. Big bird dons out here, man. We got Michael with a bird don in the chat. Talk about keep preaching, brother. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the super chat on that, man. Appreciate that support. Clifford with a bird don in the chat. Lonnie says, hey, those guys are paid to say crazy things and make headline. Kendrick Perkins admits it. For sure. I mean, we know they are. But it's still like, hey, bro, like, at least make knowledgeable headlines. Mercia with a bird don. Haitian with a bird don. G Station with a bird don. Mark Hearn with the bird don. AC Adam with a bird don. Black Dank with a bird don. Jacquees with the bird don. Appreciate y'all for showing so much love to the channel. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago.